minding. Get yourself in a bind, lose the shirt. we were hugging and a kissing and a holding each other tight. Now could you, would you, ain't you gonna? If I ask you, would you wanna be my baby tonight? We were hugging and a kissing and
about Abraham Lincoln and his generals? Abraham Lincoln, by many, is considered the greatest, if not the second greatest president in American history. But he had a problem with many of his generals. Some of them were too political. Some of them wouldn't fight. Some of them were drunks. Some of them would whore around. He wanted to win the war. He wanted to get it over with. Abraham Lincoln micromanaged the Civil War. Virtually every night he would walk from the White House to the old executive office building. He'd sit in a room. He'd sit in a room where they had a telegraph. And he'd have the telegraph man read to him what was going on in the battlefield or what generals were saying. He watched it very, very closely. And he had real problems with some of these generals, like General John Fremont, General Benjamin Butler, General Carl Schurz, General John McClellan, General John Logan, General John Dix, Horse George McClellan, General Fitz John Porter, General David Hunter, General Winfield Scott, General Henry Halleck, General Joseph Hooker. It's a lot of generals. And what would Lincoln do? He would either tolerate them, and in most cases, he moved them around to different positions, and in some cases, he fired them. And some of them got very angry with him. As the great historian James McPherson, when the generals did not live up to the president's expectations, Mr. Lincoln changed them. Ultimately, he was the commander-in-chief. Quote, even after Ulysses S. Grant became general-in-chief in March 1864, Lincoln maintained a significant degree of strategic oversight. Lincoln was a hands-on commander-in-chief who persisted through a terrible ordeal of defeats and disappointments to final triumph and tragedy at the end. What do you think the media would say about Abraham Lincoln today? This media, the American media, would run to these generals to get statements from these generals. Nobody ever heard what John Kelly has said that Donald Trump said. Nobody. And he's contradicted himself. But it doesn't matter. Kamala Harris is a bottom feeder. She seizes on this. She's not really running substantively for president. First she was hiding out for months. Then she does friendly interviews. Then she does a couple where she collapses of her own weight. Then she raises over $1 billion from Democrat Party oligarchs. We're spending money lying about abortion, lying about Donald Trump, lying through her teeth. These commercials are made by propagandists. They're made by fancy New York publicity agencies. They're written by grifters, operators, pollsters, sitting at their desks, laughing about what they can do. They have no connection to reality. They're all about brainwashing you, lying to you. As they said, it's called propaganda. And she needs over $1 billion to do it. John Kelly was a disastrous chief of staff. He was removed. These people have massive egos. Milley was a disastrous general who kissed Biden's ass and did what he was told, even if it meant losing Afghanistan, losing 13 heroes. God knows how many more American citizens. That's Milley. That's his record. He's a disgrace. He's like one of the disgraced Civil War generals. And then there's Mattis. Mad Dog Mattis. Another complete failure. They couldn't serve in these civilian positions. Mattis and Kelly and Milley, head of the Joint Chiefs. One of the greatest disgraces ever to sit in that position. So what do? They time the remarks, which are not new. They're old. and try and influence and affect the election. Former general. The irony, of course, in this country, we're supposed to have a separation between citizens and military. I understand they're ex-military, but they still have a responsibility. They still have a responsibility, and they have timed their book, their statements for the New York Times and so forth, for maximum influence. Just like Cuba, just like Xi, just like the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran. And in this issue, and in this way, and at this time, they're no better. They're no better. Because the American people need to focus on their future. The American people need to focus on the economy, the border. Yes, our military, which was hollowed out under Milley, which was hollowed out until Donald Trump stepped in and rebuilt it. And there's a reason why he'll get the support of the vast majority of the rank and file men and women in the military. There are great generals, and then there's this: Kelly, Milley, and Mattis. These constant references to Hitler. I think I'm going to do my opening statement either Saturday or Sunday on this, because I've had enough. Trump is a dictator. Trump is a dictator, says the Democrat Party. Says their media. Trump is a dictator. Historically speaking, accusing presidents of being dictators is nothing new. Nothing new. John Adams was accused of being a dictator when he and his party in Congress passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. Effectively made it a crime to criticize the government. Pretty bad. Donald Trump never did that. President Andrew Jackson was accused of being a dictator. King Andrew Jackson, that's what they used to call him. He vetoed more bills than all his predecessors. When the Supreme Court went against his ideas of Indian removal, he responded, John Marshall, who was the Chief Justice, has made his decision, I'll let him enforce it. Gee, that actually sounds like Biden. The election of Abraham Lincoln, one of our greatest presidents, his entire presidency was plagued with accusations of him being a dictator. He shut down 200 newspapers, including newspapers of the North that were anti the Civil War. Shut them down. He rounded up individuals, locked them in prison, without reading them their rights in violation of the Constitution's habeas corpus provision. My recollection is he did that because these pro-Confederates, a mob basically, they were cutting the telegraph lines in Baltimore to prevent Washington from communicating with New York and Philadelphia, that is Washington, D.C., threatening the North during the Civil War. Congress passed a law and gave them the authority to do it. Eventually the Supreme Court said, well, of course, Congress doesn't have that authority. Was he a dictator? You know what? Klansmen, neo-Nazis, and others. Dictators, sympathizers with the conspiracy. Other individuals who aren't as poisonous in terms of their ideology have said the same thing. He also imprisoned people who spoke out against him. There's the case of an Ohio congressman by the name of Clement Vallandigham. He arrested him. He had him arrested because he declared that he was disloyal in the sentiments and opinions that he was giving in Congress. And instead of imprisoning him, Lincoln actually exiled him to live in the Confederacy. Donald Trump has never done anything like this. Woodrow Wilson, the great Democrat Party progressive, he passed the Espionage and Sedition Acts. He put a political opponent, a socialist, by the name of Debs in prison during a presidential election. He made it criminal to criticize the government in the World War I entrance that he insisted on, or the League of Nations that he wanted to create. He created the Committee on Public Information that turned into the nation's first propaganda machine. Franklin Roosevelt. He did more to turn the Constitution inside out, to expand the police powers of the central government than any president in American history, bar Joe Biden. When the Supreme Court started ruling against him, he threatened to pack the court. The executive branch became more powerful in control of more legislation and regulation than any time in our history. And then he said he was the only one who could lead the country through World War II. He was the only one who could lead the country through the Depression. So he not only ran for a third term, he ran for a fourth term. And he called him a dictator too. So now I want you to compare that to Donald Trump. I want you to compare them all to Donald Trump. They say Donald Trump is going to fill in a blank. But Donald Trump has never done any of it. He's never defied the federal court. He's never defied the Supreme Court. He's never violated the Constitution of the United States. Ever. He peacefully left office. That's a matter of fact. They lie about January 6th. He offered the United States National Guard. He turned it down. He turned it down. And we could go on and on and on. They keep talking about him being Hitler. I'm now convinced half the country don't even know what Hitler did. So I'm going to educate them Saturday or Sunday. And I'm sick and tired of Democrats using one of the most horrific genocidal events in world history against other human beings as a club against their political opponents. Goldwater was Hitler, Nixon was Hitler, Reagan was Hitler, and now Trump's Hitler. Donald Trump is a law-abiding public servant. Is running for office again to try and protect us from those who are trying to destroy the Constitution, whether it's separation of power, whether it's the independence of the Supreme Court, whether it's the Electoral College, whether it's the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, whether it's free speech and freedom to assemble, whether it's the right to bear arms, whether it's probable cause to issue specific warrants, not general warrants, whether it's due process, equal protection in the 5th and 14th Amendments, whether it's the 6th or 8th Amendment, or the 9th or 10th Amendment. He is the one who's standing up to these thugs. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
military loyal to him like Hitler. Like Hitler. Donald Trump was credited, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler. Trump said, that is a flat-out lie. I never said any damn such thing. It's funny how they try to tie him to Hitler all the time. When Kamala Harris is literally, desperately begging for votes from the Hitlerians in the street. That's right, from the Hamas supporters and the Hezbollah supporters. From the imams and the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan. She's out there begging them for votes. The modern day, in my humble opinion, supporters of that kind of an attitude. She's the one who's kissing their asses trying to get their vote. More on that when I return.
Radio. 24 hours. There's no obligation, so apply today. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Red, white, and blues, y'all.
I've got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see. I won't be much when you get through with me. While I'm losing weight and I'm turning mighty pale. Looks like I've got a tiger by the tail. Well, I thought the day I met you, you were meek as a lamb. Just the kind that fit my dreams and plans. Now the pace we're living takes the wind from my sails, and it looks like I've got a tiger by the tail. I've got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see. I won't be much when you get through with me. While I'm losing weight and I'm turning mighty pale. Looks like I've got a tiger by the tail. Well, every night you drag me where the bright lights are found. There ain't no way to slow you down. I'm as far as helpless as a leaf in a gale, and it looks like I've got a tiger by the tail. I've got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see. I won't be much when you get through with me. While I'm losing weight and I'm turning mighty pale. Looks like I've got a tiger by the tail. They have a very, very busy schedule. We've offered them radio, we've offered them TV, but we haven't heard anything. So we want to help those that want help. President Trump, who is in regular contact with us, these Senate candidates, all of them, these House candidates. There's so much that's important that we have to do. These are public airways. They're your airwaves. This is a public trust, and I want these people to have access to you and you to have access to them. That's all I care about. Victory. It's all I care about. Now, Kamala Harris has surrounded herself with anti-Semites, Jew haters, Israel haters. Out of the closet. She has surrounded herself with Obama ideologues who are also anti-Semites and Jew haters. The Jews that she has chosen to put around her reject the state of Israel as is. So they are backstabbers. They undermine the state of Israel and the Holy Land. That's who they are. These are the same people who hate evangelical Christians or practicing Catholics. It's all the same milieu. It's all the same mindset. It's all the same ideology, the Marxist Islamist ideology. She has said horrific things about the government of Israel. She has accused the people of Israel and their military of committing this horrendous blood libel. She accuses them of blood libel. She's accused them of genocide. When some punk in the audience the other day said it, she agreed with him. This is who she is. And she wants you to believe that Donald Trump, there he is, the first president with a yarmulke on, praying at the Western Wall. She hasn't even visited Israel since she's been vice president. She wouldn't even go to a joint session of Congress. Her duty under the Constitution, one of like 5 for the vice president, she wouldn't do it. She tried to humiliate him, but she humiliated herself. She's endorsed Tlaib's re-election. She's endorsed Omar's re-election. She's endorsed AOC and every Jew-hating, anti-Semite, Marxist Islamist in the House of Representatives. She was to the left of Bernie Sanders. They talk about the military. Can you imagine the military under her? She opposed every single military budget when she was a senator. She voted against every single salary increase for our military personnel. Every one. Every one. She votes against every single new technology system.
But don't say the enemy within about these Marxist Islamists. Don't say she's the enemy within, even though if she had her way. We'd have no border, we'd have no military, we'd have no cops. Oh, she loves America. She says, I can work across the aisle. Every Republican senator I've spoken to said she never did. She was the most partisan, ideological senator in the Senate. More than Warren, more than Markey, more than Sanders. Think about it. She was involved in no bipartisan legislation. And as Vice President of the United States, for less than 4 years, more than any vice president in American history, she had with the tie-breaking vote for the most radical, so-called climate change bills in this country's history. Think about it. She has said nothing about the Harris-Biden administration sabotage of Israel's military plans to attack Iran. She has said nothing. But she grabs on to John Kelly, who is a disgusting reprobate, who's trying to do maximum harm. If he has his way, Kamala Harris will run the United States military. He doesn't give a damn about the military personnel. They want nothing to do with Kamala Harris. Look what they've done to the Pentagon. Look what they've done with the woke crap, the sex change operations. Look what they've done with CRT and DEI to the United States military. We can't meet our numbers. The Chinese have surpassed the size of our Navy. These are woke generals. These are failed generals. Milley, Mattis, Kelly. They're failures. They may have been good on the battlefield, but when it came to actually running something, that was not on the battlefield. Disaster. And so they lash out in the most dishonorable way possible. And history will remember them just as they remember these generals that tried to undermine Lincoln during the height of the Civil War. But then there were great generals, of which these three are not. There was Ulysses S. Grant, who's remembered. William Tecumseh Sherman, who is remembered. They followed their orders. They followed Lincoln's orders. And even if they felt Lincoln was disagreeable or they were with him, they kept their mouths shut and they did the right thing. They won the Civil War. In the summer of 1864, it was thought Lincoln would lose. Many people in the North were sick of the war. The draft. There were draft riots in New York. Enough was enough. The newspapers had turned on Lincoln, most of them, including the North. Everything was at stake. Whether they would end slavery, whether the nation would stay as a whole, everything. He was called a dictator. He was called a mass killer. He was called everything under the sun. People think back now. That's why history matters, and it's not taught in our schools. Hitler. Trump would praise Hitler. Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump. In really an unknown act of tremendous support for the Jewish community in Brooklyn in the 1950s. The Jewish community in Brooklyn was growing substantially. They were holding services in garages. They didn't have a facility that was big enough. They couldn't find one. They couldn't afford one. And in steps Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump. And he offers them a very substantial and nice building. He says, I'll charge you a lease of $1 a year. And that building is still there. The Jewish synagogue is still there. There's a little plaque on the exterior of the wall in honor of him. A little plaque that the Jews put up. Donald Trump has always supported the Jewish community in New York and elsewhere. Quietly. Substantially. Donald Trump's daughter married an Orthodox Jew. She decided to convert to Orthodox Judaism. He embraced it. He supported what she was doing. He loves them. He loves his 3 Jewish grandchildren, Orthodox
Orthodox Jewish grandchildren. Many of Donald Trump's best friends are Orthodox Jews who he's grown up with, who he's worked with, who he's been in business with. Donald Trump has no reason to support the state of Israel except that he believes in the state of Israel. The Jewish community votes overwhelmingly Democrat. Hopefully that won't be the case this time, but up to this time, that's been the case. He did something that no president before did. None. Republican or Democrat. None. He came to Israel's defense in a way that we've never seen before. He agreed to move their capital. He agreed to move our embassy to their capital. Everybody promised them and nobody did it. George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter. But he did more than that. He defunded the PLO. He defunded UNRWA. He defunded Iran. And he got out of the nuclear deal. He signed an executive order nobody else did that gave Jewish kids on college campuses rights under the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to sue and to protect themselves and to enlist the power of the Department of Justice. He did that. Nobody else did that. He didn't have to do that. It's not like he was playing to a great constituency that's going to vote for him. 5 people are a small percentage of the population. Spread throughout the country, but located mostly in 3 or 4 states. New York, which he can never win. Sorry, it's true. Pennsylvania, which I hope he does. Florida. And California. 1 purpler state and 1 red state. Obama, who got a huge vote out of the Jewish community, anti-Semite still is, who undermined the state of Israel, who allowed the UN to run roughshod over Israel, whose people are in this current administration, stabbing Israel in the back. Kamala Harris is literally sending surrogates and playing to the worst anti-Semite Jew haters in our country. Now she talks out of both sides of her mouth, but the other day, when somebody accused the Israelis of committing genocide, she agreed with them. She hasn't lifted a finger to fight the rampant anti-Semite that they unleashed. Their party unleashed in our streets and in our colleges. Hasn't lifted a damn finger. But we're supposed to believe that Donald Trump is Hitler. When the Democrat Party uses Hitler, which apparently some people are too young to understand what that means, they are telling you that Donald Trump is the equivalent of a man who exterminated 6 million Jews. A man who skinned Jews alive, made lampshades out of their skin. Of a man who pulled the gold teeth out of their mouths. Of a man who oversaw ovens, gas chambers, mass graves, slaughtering of people, stealing their jewelry, burning their clothing, sending the German shepherds after them. That's what they're saying Donald Trump is. This is a party, a political party, the Democrat Party, that really doesn't fit properly in the American system. It never has. From slavery to segregation and Jim Crow, down to Marxism and Islamism. Their propaganda is the worst we've ever seen. Hitler. When they have these Hitlerians in their party, when they have them in their base, when they have them in Congress, when they have them in the media, that's the party that opens its arms. The fascists, the Marxists, and Islamists, that's the party, not our party. We reject them. They seek their vote. They seek their vote. And so there are headlines all over the place, and of course the media shows have to
Trump said this, Donald Trump said that, Donald Trump says bull crap. And so there we are, even on our favorite network, taking the words of John Kelly and putting them on the TV screen. And this is what they want. This is how you create pseudo-news. But pseudo-news has an impact bigger than the real news. Because lies travel further than the truth. And by the time they're uncovered, it's too late. There are other generals who served under Trump, like General Tata and others, who are saying this is baloney. That they worked with Trump. They never heard him say any such thing. Ever. But those generals won't get the time of day. Be right back.
Mark Levin. Yacht Rock Radio.
actually today. She believes in a pathway to citizenship for all these illegal immigrants. In other words, amnesty. Isn't that a big issue? Doesn't that affect your life? More than this pathetic former general spewing his hate, who hates Donald Trump more than he loves his country? Look, that's the truth. We honor his service, but we don't honor this. Because if Kelly has his way, Milley has his way, Mattis and the rest, they're throwing all these heroes, these men and women, who have volunteered for the United States military, throwing them to the wolves, running them to Harris and Walls, for God's sake. Throwing Israel under the bus. Our border's wide open. These men have sided. They have sided with people who do not have this country's best interests, and that's what we'll be remembered for. And God forbid, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, if we lose this election, among others, we will call out the people who have done this to us. And John Kelly will be one of them. And Milley will be another. And the Cheneys will be yet another. They milk the country for power and wealth. The Cheneys? Unbelievable what these people have done. The pathway to citizenship, Kamala Harris tells Univision. He's dangerous as hell. October 7th was 1 year mark. It'll never be forgotten. The war in Israel rages on. Israel and the Jewish people are facing attacks from enemies on all sides, seeking Israel's destruction. So, of course, our administration leaks their war plans to the enemy. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground right now, providing food, shelter, safety for those who need it and are in a crisis. Since the war started, there are reservists, everyday Israeli citizens who have left their families behind to serve their countries. Soldiers have been injured, soldiers have been killed, hardly ever talks about it. Their families need help.
Toward US 93 North.
Your gift, your tax-deductible gift today, will go a long way on helping these people in the Holy Land. We're preserving our holy sites, our ancestral sites, Christians and Jews. The international...
Lovely day. Love this song.
When I wake up in the morning light and the sunlight hurts my eyes,
Sam's Yacht Rock Radio.
Turn left onto Harbin Lane. Have reached your destination.
Red, white, and booze.
This truck needs a half tank. These wheels need a 2-lane. This radio needs 3 songs to play to get me across town to you. That dress needs to slip off. That hair needs to come down. Friday nights need to do what Friday nights.
I love you guys, whoever's watching.
That's the truth.
Thank you for watching my long videos. I know they're kind of boring, but this is my life. Trucking from West Coast to East Coast to West Coast, North and South. It's been a great life.
Sweet tea needs that sugar stirring small town.